Alright, quick update on OGN. So things have been pretty boring for the past 2 weeks or so. Since we bottomed recently down here on the 12th of April, you can really see we're bouncing around, we're chopping out the bulls, we're chopping out the bears. Let's talk about what's going on. So as of the time of recording this, we are currently just converging in this asymmetrical triangle. Now, it depends what time frame you're looking on to whether this looks bullish or bearish. The higher time frame you come over to, like for example, if you come over to the weekly, it really does seem like OGN has bottomed in the macro term. I would honestly find it very hard to believe that OGN could come down much lower considering how beat down it is already. However, if we do come down to your lower time frames and we actually look at your oscillators, for example, if we start off on the 4 hour here, or if we come over to the daily actually, for example, you can see your money flow indicator is heavily topped off on the daily, which could lend credence to the fact that we could be coming back down. The last couple of times we did top out, we did have a at least somewhat sizable correction coming. If we come over to the 4 hour, you can really see, like I said, we're chopping around in this asymmetrical triangle right now. However, what's interesting is your oscillators down here. Let's start off with your money flow indicator. So your MFI, we just keep on putting in these lower highs right now. So not looking too good. I mean, you could also argue we're building out a base down here. So we're really getting chopped up right now. There's not like a 100% clear sign as to where to go on OGN. Your RSI is heavily beat down, didn't even make it back up to this trend line once again. So it's not looking the greatest for the lower time frames. Looking at everything as a whole, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if OGN came back down a little bit before we did head off to the races a little bit later on. And once again, if we come over to the daily, if we focus on our momentum indicators on this one, you can see we've got a big M pattern right here. I mean, a slight bit ugly, and then you've got smaller M patterns depending on what time frame you look on. So for example, here you can see we're on the 4 hour, got these M's playing out. We had a W, tried to play out, came back to back test and just completely fell off the table. We're forming an M. We tried to come back to the neckline, and then we just broke back down as well. And then you can also see here, we had a big M like this before we broke back down, back tested it, made a new low on this. So if you are new and you haven't watched my previous videos, we did get in on OGN. If I can find it, we got in on this last momentum shift on the daily time frame for OGN. So we got in somewhere around about this region between 26 and 35. I believe it was 30 to 33 if I can remember correctly, but nonetheless we were just around this region where the momentum started to shift. We came all the way up to 85. I did take some profits when we came up to 85, and I'm also still keeping my eye on this $1. It might seem to be more of a couple of weeks target, judging by how much chop we've going on with OGN, but I still do have my stop loss down here at the previous low. Honestly, I think the way we're consolidating, we've already come back to, depending on where you want to draw this from your wick, we didn't quite make it down to the 786. It was almost more closer to a it was pretty neatly closed on the 618. It had a tiny candle body close before there, below there, before we did come back up. So all of these indicators put together, it does seem almost somewhat likely that OGN could be getting up for one more move back to the downside. Maybe it could be a higher low, something like this, because like I said, these momentum indicators are kind of building support on this floor here. So we could see something like this where we come down and break back out. That would be indicative of a fake out to the downside and then a break up back to the upside. Either way, there's not like a clear trade that I could definitely make for OGN. I'd honestly be waiting for a break of this asymmetrical triangle. I feel like it would be slightly degenerative to try and guess which direction we'd be moving, because like I said, your much higher time frames are gearing up for a bullish momentum shift. However, lower time frames are getting a little bit sticky right now, and with Bitcoin Bitcoin, well, in the past hour or so, we tried to have a wick up and we're moving back down. So not looking the greatest for OGN while we are coming back into the support. Either way, I am waiting for a clear-cut trade to be made, probably once we break out of this asymmetrical triangle. Still got my eyes on $1. That is if we do break to the upside of this. However, once again, stop loss down here at 45 cents. That is all I've got for you. As always, none of this is financial advice, just my opinion on the market. And yeah, cowboy out. Peace.